I told them, like, if you have any interest in being in marketing or owning a business, like, try that stuff now because you have this safety net. Like, the worst that's going to happen is I'm going to say, hey, you should have done this better. Like, I'm not going to fail you for trying something. Or if you wait until you get to college or wait until you get to the real world, like, there's huge financial obligations for trying something and it not being successful.
That's powerful, Zach. That's so powerful. Now, for my educators that are listening, I know someone's thinking, how do you assess all of this? So talk to me about assessments, your strategy as it relates to that.
Yeah, so I kind of flipped that on its head as well. We toured Iowa Big 2 years ago. Our district went up there and kind of looked at their grading structure.
You are listening to the Global CTE Podcast with your host, Sylvester Chisom.
Welcome, my friend, to another episode of the Global CTE Podcast. I am your host, Sylvester Chisom. This is the place where we like to wrap a blanket of goodwill around the CTE community, and I interview the best, the brightest, the movers, the shakers, and the innovators. Today, we are truly in for a treat, and today's no different. I have Zachary Johnson, who is a director in the North Kansas City School District and leads one of the most innovative projects I've seen, the Class Act Coffee Shop. All right, now let me tell you a little bit about Zachary. He's a passionate, real-world experiential learning expert. He utilizes his experience and previous work in the corporate world and owning his own business to walk alongside students through their learning process. He seeks to assist students in becoming fully prepared for their future, whether that's college, trade school, or entering the workforce. Zachary currently teaches in the North Kansas City School District, facilitating their innovative new student-run and operated coffee shop, Class Act Coffee. That is an off-campus program and fully open to the public. He also works as a mentor with the Kaufman Foundation Client Connection Project Teacher Network. Zachary, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Oh man, I was so interested to talk to you. Real world experiential learning, getting the students doing things that are real. They can have some fun as well. And your project is so connected to the community. I think you're going to drop a lot of insights for our audience and learning community to really walk away with. So I'm super excited that you're here. Before we get into the Class Act Coffee, tell me, what's your origin story, man? How'd you get here?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small rural town in southern Missouri, and then went to college at University of Central Missouri and met my wife, and she's from Kansas City, so that brought me up here. Went into corporate world because I got a degree in business and marketing. Worked in corporate and market research, owned my own insurance agency for a little bit. Went into corporate insurance, worked with some large clients, and then kind of felt like I wasn't really making a difference, or every day was the same, and kind of wanted to make an impact. Went back to school and got my teaching degree, and then got into business and marketing and entrepreneurship education. So was having fun with that, but I was like, this could be a lot more, and we could be getting a lot more out of this. So I had some other teachers that I was kind of following on that time, and some of my own stuff I was bringing in. So really started to go towards that real world kind of hands-on projects as opposed to worksheets and books and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of been a game changer.
And that's awesome. I love to hear that when you say you were moving to the real world project. I'm curious, in that phase, in that early phase in your entrepreneurship class, like what were some of the real world projects or things you were having students work on?
Yeah, so our district actually is implementing a lot of projects and bringing on business partners. And we've got positions that help find that stuff. But when I first started this, there wasn't that. So I was having to call the community planning organizations within the city or the chambers and find businesses, and they brought on, or the ones that agreed brought projects that they were interested in. So we had a amusement park that was having trouble bringing in teens. So we tried to figure out ways to get people there so that they weren't scaring little kids, but also were spending some money. There was a real estate company that wanted to attract a younger generation and be on social media. So we helped them with that. There was a financial planner that wanted to sell some financial planning like resources and education for people looking to buy a first house. So we were looking at how to market to that target market. So lots of different stuff and fun stuff. And yeah, it's been a great joy, and I've seen a lot of student growth out of it.
I love it. And I always feel like you can really see the impact, like when we show our kids their ideas are valuable, when you give them a problem and they make that attempt at solving it, and especially when they get that quality feedback from say the amusement park, and they're like, you know what, we may actually put some of these ideas into action. And I really think that's so powerful, those moments.
Yeah, when it's real world and you have that authentic audience, they take it a lot more serious and they step their game up. And yeah, if it gets used, then it's even more so.
Yeah, 100%. So talk to me about the transition from that classroom setting to class at coffee. Like, how do you get to that point from the classroom?
Yeah, so in a couple of the different buildings that I've been in, I've helped run different student-run stores within the school, or run a couple different coffee shops. The last high school that I was in full-time, which is in the district, I had started up and run a student-run coffee shop, or helped manage a student-run coffee shop. So had a lot of experience in that. The district wanted to go to more of an experiential learning and kind of capstone type project. So we were opening up this coffee shop that's out in the community and outward facing. And I applied for that, and they felt that I'd be a great fit. So brought that on. Yeah, students are involved in every single aspect. So they're running all the front of shop stuff. So they have to get trained on all that stuff and get food handlers and everything else. But then they're also doing all of the back of house stuff. So projections and ordering and marketing and finance, and determining all of that. Like, who's our target market and how do we reach those people, and what platforms are we reaching those on, and how do we get community engagement? So yeah, full gamut from start to finish.
So for anyone who's listening, let's take it back just one step and just talk about like the physical location of the coffee shop. We're not talking about something in a school building. The school district has property, or is leasing property somewhere, and decided to open a coffee shop. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so our district a few years ago bought a strip center that was mostly empty, or they were selling. So they've built out a couple of those locations to be our early education center and our technology center. But yeah, one of those spots in that strip center is our coffee shop. I tell people when I'm trying to promote the program that we're kind of the front porch for the district. Like, there's not a whole lot of places in the district or in schools where parents or community members can just walk in and see the amazing things that students are doing. Or here they can walk in, they can interact with students and have that face-to-face interaction and see truly firsthand those great things that they're doing.
That is so awesome. So talk to me about the offerings at the coffee shop, like standard coffee shop coffee, pastries. Like, tell me about that part.
Yeah, so we do everything in-house except for food and baked goods. We don't have a kitchen, so we can't do that. So we're outsourcing that. But yeah, we drove to be a professional quality and just anywhere else that you would go type coffee shop. So we had anything from lattes and mochas and cappuccinos to lemonades and teas, and went the full length. So yeah, full coffee shop offerings on that. And then we also partnered with one of our business partners in the area and purchased or wholesaled scones and some other coffee shop type baked goods from her that we were reselling. And then this year we're going to try and implement some student baked goods as well, and possibly do some sandwiches or some other stuff. Trying to expand a little bit.
What time is the coffee shop open?
Yeah, so we open up at 8:30 in the morning, and then we close at 1. So okay. Not ideal hours, but it's when we've got students right now. So last year was year 1, and then we're just getting ready to start year 2. So we'll continue to readjust and amend that.
So logistically, students start their day like school starts, they come straight to the coffee shop, to class at coffee, and then they go back to their building remainder of the day. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so I've got 2 groups of students. So one of them starts their day here. They come here. They're here for about 2 hours, and then they go back to their home school for their afternoon classes. And my other one's the reverse. So they start at their home school, do half a day, and then they come to me for their second half of the day. So we're half a day every day is when I see students.
Do you source students from multiple high schools?
Yeah, so our district has 4 high schools, and we're pulling from all of those. So it's open to juniors and seniors from those 4 high schools.
That's so awesome, man. And they have to apply and the whole thing.
Yeah, there's an application process where they're kind of expressing why they're interested, what they want to get out of it, kind of their goals for it, just so I can make sure that they're getting into it for the right reasons, and that they're motivated and not just wanting to make coffee, but the whole entrepreneurial part behind it. Like, we're not teaching coffee, we're teaching how to start a business, run a business, kind of be that, have that entrepreneurial spirit, and we're just using coffee as a vehicle.
Yeah, that's what I was curious to ask you about. Like, how are you thinking about entrepreneurial skill development, the learning outcomes? Like, we know coffee shop, let's take it to that component. Like, how do you think about that from the educational standpoint?
So yeah, there's all the front of house stuff. So there's the client interactions, there's the public speaking, how well they're operating under pressure or kind of remembering tasks. But then there's all of the behind the scenes stuff that is transferable to just about any business. So determining your target market and your different marketing channels, content creation, looking at sales and projecting sales and ordering, looking at pricing and determining your pricing based on kind of all of your inputs on that, and kind of the elasticity of payability from your customers and what they're going to be willing to pay. So just trying to look at all those different elements that you're going to teach in a typical classroom, just kind of taking those to the next step. So this is a college level entrepreneurship class. So trying to implement all of that stuff, and students actually do it, and then they can actually get dual credit for that as well if they elect to. And then this year, looking to have a business incubator as well behind the scenes when students aren't working. So they'll be taking their own business ideas as we're learning the stuff. They can develop their own business idea and hopefully taking those to market.
I like that. We talked a little bit about that before we started recording, the dual credit scenario. So you have a partnership. Tell me about that.
Yes, we're partnering with University of Missouri. It's the Kansas City branch. Yeah, partnering with them. They're getting an intro to entrepreneurship credit for taking the course. So if they elect that, and choose to pay.
That's so awesome. That's what I was telling you when you said that. I still need to talk to my people in St. Louis, because I'm the professor of entrepreneurship for the freshman intro to entrepreneurship class. And I'm like, that's so great that they're getting that experience.
Yeah. So ideally walking away with instead of just saying I took a class, like they can walk into an employee or anybody else and say, instead of learning about the stuff, I've actually done it. I've got college credit for it. I've got these industry recognized credentials that I earned. And so lots of takeaways.
Yeah. Going to that, the credentials, what you said, food safety and some other ones that they receive.
Yeah. So every student in the program has to get their food handler's license to be able to work here. Students have the option to get their food managers as well. So both of those are transferable, and they can walk into a kitchen, either work there or run a kitchen, at least license wise. But then in the classroom as well, we're working on some certifications. So there's a list the student get to choose from that they're working on kind of independently throughout the year. So whether that be various Google certifications, there's HubSpot and some other marketing certifications, but then all of the other ones that are approved by our state organization. So whether that be business or office or accounting software. So those as well. Yeah, that's kind of a choose your own adventure for what they're interested in to try and tailor that.
Yeah, I love it, Zach. Give me the student perspective. Like what feedback? Like give me a story about a standout student in their journey of going through the class at Coffee.
Yeah, so just like any other classroom, when you're implementing kind of that project-based or kind of real-world learning, like it's different than kind of the traditional classroom, or it's different than a lot of your like core type classes in a lot of settings. So some students really thrive in that and do a great job and enjoy the freedom and enjoy the autonomy and being able to select their own stuff. So they do really well. But then there's other students that kind of struggle, not kind of having a clear roadmap on the exact things that they should be doing and the exact way to get points. It's kind of more open and they have some freedom. So they're not playing the game of school as much. So some students struggle with that. But yeah, I had a student last year that was not attending his home high school a lot because he wasn't interested and didn't feel kind of invested, but then came here and was showing up not every day, but a lot of days, and was having great ideas and doing a great job. And I was told at the end of the year that he probably graduated because he was in this program and he was actually putting forth the effort because he had the investment and the ownership in it. But then other students tell me that they're prepared for college and that their first year of college was really easy because of everything that we'd done in-house. And other students getting jobs because having register and POS experience or having experience, in a business and management experience. So lots of success stories, which has been amazing to hear.
I love that, especially when you talk about something like such a tangible skill of understanding the register and POS machines and the technology behind it.
Yeah.
You've seen some students take that away and felt like that was a reason why they were hired at another place?
Yeah, I mean, if they go to, I've had several students go to a grocery store or somewhere else, and I mean, they've got experience counting back money and actually talking to people, which lots of students are scared of in today's day and age. Being able to do that confidently and be able to run the system and work under pressure if there's a line. So yeah, having those skills is immediately transferable to students that can get jobs. And I've had, a handful or several do that.
Let's stay there for a second, Zach. The durable skill of communication and how important that is. Can you give me an example of how you saw maybe someone come in shy and by the end of the semester, they're your number one front of the house person or anything like that as it relates to communication?
Yeah. So last year we had a couple students come in and they were very, very quiet at the beginning and very scared to talk to anybody in class, let alone talk to people that came in the door. But then just kind of encouraging them or kind of heavily handed encouraging them to get on the register and forcing them to talk to some people and get more comfortable and more practice. I mean, they kind of came out of their shell and grew a lot and became kind of that vocal leader. Last year was our first year. So having to kind of communicate between the person running the register and the barista and anybody helping, like there's a lot of points in there where communication can break down. So they definitely helped with having that vocal leader, having those people that are confident. So that student that I was talking about, having them gain that confidence and kind of be able to own that situation helped a lot with kind of our workflow and eliminating errors.
That matters. I love to see that happen.
And just the way they carry themselves is amazing to see as well.
100%.
Gaining that confidence.
You get to see it. They walk into a room and that probably helps in other aspects as well. Of them maybe running for student council or something like that. They're willing to speak up and raise their hand in those scenarios.
Yeah, open so many doors for them.
Man, so if someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, Zach, he's doing this, but how do we, any best practices or learnings from your first year as it relates to implementing a very strong real world experiential learning program? I'm curious, any takeaways there?
I would say from my perspective, like for my job, making sure that your people ahead of you or kind of your bosses are on board and have kind of a goal so that you're kind of on the same page, so that you're getting support, whether that be like, emotionally and kind of with classroom stuff, but then also financially, like for a coffee shop, for instance, like if you're going to give a real world experience and you're buying professional machinery, that's not the cheapest thing in the world. So just make sure everybody's on the same page with that. But then for students, just making sure that you're kind of being open on the front end so students know what they're getting into and that you are being kind of crystal clear on what you're looking for. Because if you're asking for this thing that's outside of the box and they're used to being in the box, then you have to be very clear about kind of what you're looking for and kind of what they're moving towards. So even if you're not giving them kind of a step-by-step kind of roadmap, you're at least giving them a bigger picture on kind of what their goal is and kind of what we're working towards.
Very well said. How does the district think about this program as it relates to maybe like how are they thinking about measuring success? Like what equals success in this scenario?
I think success is kind of from my interpretation, they want us to be self-sustaining so that we're not kind of a drain on the district, which makes perfect sense. So being able to self-sustain and kind of have some skin in the game for those financial decisions. So we're not just spending money all over the place, but kind of looking at it and making logical choices on why we're spending money on our prices, on offerings and that type of stuff. So if something's not selling or something is not popular, either eliminating it or lowering price or something else. But also just kind of those takeaways. So student successes, student stories, students' experiences, and just having those different options and seeing those and hearing about those is definitely, I think, a takeaway the district's looking for. I think that's the way they're defining success. And just the community relations, the community engagement is huge as well. So seeing that support from the community and having them come in and be able to interact with the district is a positive interaction and influence as well.
Yeah, that's why I was so impressed by that part. Like, what you call it? The front door to the school district. So like you're really getting a chance to engage with the community in a unique way. How has the community responded? Like knowing that it's a student-ran business.
Yeah, I have students surprised when somebody they know walks in because I tell them day one, like the superintendent can walk in or your grandma walk in, like we're open to the public. But yeah, we had amazing support from the community. We did a Coffee with Cops event where the police department had reached out and they were wanting to come and hang out. We started up a little library, so our local library branches were supporting and providing books. People that work from home were coming here and camping out and kind of setting up shop and making it kind of their office away from home. So that was cool to see. We had several groups come in and meet up with friends or meet up to have like weekly discussions and kind of become those regulars. So that was amazing to see. So lots of community people coming in and either wanting to check it out and support or wanting to come in on a frequent basis and on a predictable basis and just be able to support and have a nice place to hang out.
How do you get to keep your students involved in the marketing aspect for the coffee shop? Yeah, like what sort of activities are you all doing on the marketing side? Are they making TikTok videos? for the coffee shop, or I'm just curious from that step?
Yeah. So sometimes it's not the easiest, but trying to be hands off as possible with that. So trying to let them kind of steer the ship. We make sure that we go over kind of what marketing is, how to determine target market, and kind of train on cameras and different social media platforms. But then I kind of let them run with it. So we had students last year that were like taking lots of pictures and doing more static marketing kind of on Instagram and on Twitter X. So doing that type stuff. Then I had other students that were making short like TikTok videos. And then I had other students that were doing kind of a stop motion kind of voiceover, being goofy stuff. So trying different stuff and allowing them that freedom to try different stuff and see what works. Because I told them, like, if you have any interest in being in marketing or owning a business, like try that stuff now, because you have this safety net. Like the worst that's going to happen is I'm going to say, hey, you should have done this better. Like I'm not going to fail you for trying something. Or if you wait until you get to college or wait until you get to the real world, like there's huge financial obligations for trying something and it not being successful.
That's so powerful. For my educators that are listening, I know someone's thinking, well, how do you assess all of this? So talk to me about assessments, your strategy as it relates to that.
Yeah, so I kind of flipped that on its head as well. We toured Iowa Big 2 years ago. Our district went up there and kind of looked at their grading structure. And I've tried to emulate that a lot. So we have our kind of first semester standards that are laid out, and I provide those to students. We're standards based. So I say, I need to see at least 3 or 4 examples of how you're proving you're learning through this and how you're progressing on that. So it's up to them to provide evidence of their learning. We do group discussions and stuff. So I encourage students to record that so they can turn that in. Then instances within the coffee shop, or like if they're creating content and thinking through that, those can be submitted as well. So they're, instead of me kind of like dictating like this assignment on this day is being graded, it's kind of giving them that freedom. Like I would like to be graded on this because I think this is a real representation of my learning in this topic.
Talk to me more. That's the approach of Iowa Big? That's
the first time I'd seen it. Yeah. Them kind of having those kind of targets or those items that they're grading on, and then leaving it to students to be able to submit evidence of that.
I like it. That's cool. And how do the students receive that? Like, because it is so different, they're probably their traditional classes. Like, I'm curious how they receive that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like anything else that's new and different, like there was a lot of bumps and bruises and learning curves. So just trying to, those constant reminders to, hey, like you have to have something submitted by this day, where I'm putting in a 0. So those constant reminders, or those kind of nudges, and hey, this is on you. Like you don't just get to sit back and relax. Like pick out what you want, take ownership in your learning, and turn this in. And so yeah, just having those definite kind of pushing them and reminder moments, and setting those deadlines. That's another firm thing. So I mean, I'm bad about it as well. But if there's not a deadline, I'm going to procrastinate. So making sure you kind of have those road checks where they have to have something in by this date.
That's good, Zach. Man, like you dropped so many gems just on like the experience of what's required to implement a successful real world experiential learning program. And this is really something that's, I just love the fact that it's like getting the students, outside of the classroom, connecting them with the community, like it's community facing. So it really is like, we're learning, and you're going to get a grade from this, but it has a totally different feel to it. So hats off to you and your entire team and district who put this together, man. This is
well, thank you. I had tons of support and amazing students to get this going.
So what's something you're excited about for year 2 as you launch into your second year?
So I have no students returning this year. I only had 2 underclassmen last year, so everybody graduated except for those 2, and I kind of had to reshuffle around their schedule last year to make it fit. So they got to take other classes this year to be able to graduate. So got into some students like the whole first semester of last year. We were kind of planning and doing market research and everything else. So got into like habits, working on that, and then switching over was weird. So this year will be exciting with a whole fresh batch to kind of start ground zero, build up some culture, and kind of start rolling from day one on that. So excited for that. I didn't drink coffee before taking this job, but thought I should probably be able to like taste our product to see if it's good or not. So being able to actually know how to make coffee and different types. So I'm not learning on the fly with them. So I know how to make an espresso. I know how to foam milk and that kind of stuff. So not starting from kind of ground zero on that. So that'll be exciting as well. But then I've got more students this year, so they'll be cycling off on on the days that they're working. So being able to implement that business incubator, I'm excited about that. Just giving them that freedom to come in or develop a business idea that they're excited about, or picking something they hate and working on that, because sometimes it's easier to think of than something you're passionate about. So, and then those takeaways and those life experiences. So whether that students get to interact with, stay-at-home mom around the corner, but then also state representatives come in and board members come in. So gaining that confidence and having those industry recognized credentials and those certifications and stuff, just all those takeaways and that confidence. I'm excited about that too. Just seeing kind of where that goes in the future for the students and for their.
Yeah, you're doing important work, and I know.
Thank you.
A lot of people are watching to see how this is going, and probably their wheels are turning. Like, should we turn our culinary department into a restaurant? Or like, I can just see so many other like angles that this can take for a school district to do something so innovative. I love it. I really do.
Yeah, there's lots of possibilities. Like I said, we're just kind of teaching the content, and coffee is just the vehicle. So there's definitely other possibilities.
100%. So my last question that I like to ask everyone: what is your vision for the future of career tech education?
I mean, CTE stuff should be innovative. I mean, we're doing like the fun stuff and I don't want to downgrade anything, but we're doing the relevant stuff where students are out in the real world and working on that. So continuing to implement and evolve with these real world projects and these hands-on projects and getting kids out into businesses and out into the communities. I'd love to see that. I'd love us to implement more of AI as that becomes more and more. Like, we're supposed to be preparing students for their future. Like, that's their future. So using that as a resource and not just completely throwing it away or banning it, but showing them how to use that to assist them as opposed to just cheat on assignments. I think that's another thing that we should definitely be focusing on, and I'd love to see in the future with CTE.
Now, I have to ask you a follow-up question since you just brought that up.
That is opening up a can of worms.
It is like, this is part 2 of the interview. No, I want to hear more about your thoughts on that, because I believe the same way that industry business is going to expect students to understand or have some knowledge, some foundational knowledge on how to use AI tools. So I'm curious, how do you think, do you have any thoughts on how we could be implementing AI in our CTE courses or any other courses in general? I
mean, I struggle with planning a lot as an adult. So I know high schoolers struggle with that. So I tried to use it a lot in that aspect last year. So if students came up with an idea, then kind of running that through some AI platform, whether that be Gemini or ChatGPT or anything else, and kind of refine that and get feedback on that. So if I'm not an expert in that, we can bring in an expert, but it's really easy right then in that moment to go to AI and have them provide feedback. And if they are working on a project, to be able to have that, break that stuff up into action steps. So what 10 things need to happen to make this happen? I mean, sometimes it's hard to see those smaller steps and you're just looking at the big items. So it was great for that. And then to play devil's advocate on other stuff as well, providing those poking holes and stuff that we could try and solve. So I found it really helpful last year for students on that, or if just trying to get started on something, asking for ideas. I told students, like, if you're copying and pasting it, then yeah, you're cheating. But if you're just using it for ideas and using it for feedback, then it's a tool, no different than a calculator or anything else.
Yeah, I really like that, what you said. It helps to get past that, like that blank sheet of paper, like to get the brain, to get the ball rolling on brainstorming. And then, like you said, start refining ideas and moving them forward on your own, not just copying and pasting. I'm with you, Zach, that hopefully we can this is it's going to be a breakthrough year, I feel like, with AI and education, trying to find I'm hearing a lot of people testing different strategies of what's acceptable use. Some classes fully featuring it, and others I'm hearing, as long as you document how you used it or something like that. So
cite it in your citations. Yeah. I mean, you can be the teacher that completely bans it, or you completely bans it like the city of New York. But students are still going to use it. They still have a personal device. They still have stuff at home. Like, you have to teach them how to use it responsibly.
100%. Zach, thank you so much for taking the time. If people want to reach out to you to learn more about the work you're leading with Class Act Coffee, where would you direct them? Where should they go?
My Twitter /X handle is Mr. Johnson KC, I think, NKC, one of those two. I put it in the notes. You can put it in the show notes. Look me up on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there as well. Or shoot me an email, at Zachary.Johnson@nkcschools.org.
Thank you for taking the time to listen. If you enjoyed this episode, as I know you did, Zach dropped a lot of gems on real world experiential learning, bringing it to life and making it fun, connecting the credentials and the dual credit. What more can you ask for? This is a perfect example of what the future of education looks like. So don't be selfish. Share it with a friend or colleague so they can receive these insights too. Until the next episode, remember, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Global CTE podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to be the first to know about future episodes.